back on. And here we go. Post Onikakushi hype. Load. I don't think we went through the tips, so yeah, we have a lot of tips here. Oh boy. A bit more water. I should have brought more water. Oh well. Oh well. Hojo in couples falling incident. So we will do the tips right now. From the June 1980 edition. On the afternoon of XX at 2 p.m., office employee XX and his wife, XX of Hinamizawa village in Shishibone prefecture, disappeared after falling 27 meters from observatory platform in Shirakawa prefecture. Police and firefighters surged downstream and discovered the body of XX at around 7 p.m. that evening. His 5 XXX has yet to be found. Why is there 5 X's here and only 4 here? That's weird. The search has run into difficulties due to the effects of... Right, I should probably... Not that. This one. Let's have a lovely headbutt here, because everybody knows this is a lovely game with nothing bad going to happening in it ever. Effects of Typhoon 3 from the previous day. It appeared that a railing... What? Oh, shit. I suppose her name was 5 characters long, as opposed to year, which is... Oh, that's understandable, maybe. Whatever. Unimportant. It appeared a railing at the observatory that XX leaned on had broken, causing him to fall. The groundskeeping staff was questioned by the police in regards to facility deterioration, and if park maintenance was performed properly. Okay. Well, that was short. Terminal illness death of Shinto priest Furude. Ah. Right, now I remember. From the June 18, 1981 edition. On the afternoon of XX around 10 p.m. in the district of Hinamizawa village in Shishibone prefecture, the Shinto priest of the Furude shrine passed away after an existing condition he was recovering from suddenly worse. I have a feeling that if you worked in the police station, you would put headbutt pictures on the other. Yeah, definitely. I would definitely do that, because that is very respectful. From suddenly worsened. Parties close to the deceased said he was suffering from anxiety issues concerning the festival, which was to be held that day. Also, after XX's death, his wife XX went missing, leaving behind a farewell note. The police and local youth association continued the search. However, given the presence of farewell message and the fact that Onikakushi March is said to be bottomless, they have run into difficulties. Well, that was short as well. Housewife murder. It wasn't reported in the newspaper. Oh. Huh. Well, that was interesting. Radio log. Oh. Well, that is a familiar voice. Oh, I wonder, what exactly happened? How mysterious. Gee, piece, I wonder what exactly could have happened. The best tip. Yep.
はい、了解です。なあ、応援も到着しました。先に写真撮らせた方がいいんじゃないですか。外車、もう無駄だと思いますし。
The week is done for. Oh, I wonder what happened. And so we continue. I'm gonna keep these pictures, the original pictures, because I somewhat find them a bit more charming, to be honest. A bit different for sure, but definitely quite charming. It's weird.
ケイちゃん、昨日はお疲れ様。
ミオンこそお疲れさんな。昨日は楽しかったぜ。
そうそう。ケイチくん、本当にありがとね。クマさん。
気
Nah.
に入ってもらえて嬉しいぜ。裁縫針とか刺したりするのに使うなよ。
しないよ、そんなこと。
Oh, Rana looks freaking adorable. Still chatting happily, we entered the classroom, but the moment I stepped into the room, a splashing sound and a nasty sensation. Yeah, I don't know how to... Like, the batcher just didn't work, which is really unfortunate. I've tried a couple of times now, but it just doesn't want to comply with me, so I doubt that I get the CGs actually working. Which would be really annoying, but maybe I'll try after the stream. I'll try one more time. A bucket was filled to the brim. It was a bucket filled to the brim with water, and unfortunately my foot stepped right into it.
朝から雑巾がけとは熱心でございますわね。
Oh, you rascallion. Kom. Yiff.
ケイチさんがデコピンした。今度はもっと凶悪な罠を仕掛けなさいですよ。
Seeing that, Rena began to swoon as Mion looked on dejectedly. Everything was the same as always. Oh, it certainly was. Nothing has changed at all. Everybody was there and nothing felt out of place. And the uncertainties I had in the back of my mind since yesterday had vanished.
どうしたの、ケイチくん。
Oh my god.
ひょっとして寝不足かな。
バッチリ爆睡したよ。なんなら授業中にも実演するぜ。
ダメだよ、そんなの。
Mion alerted us that the teacher was coming, so everyone shuffled off to their seats.
皆さん、おはようございます。
Oh, you didn't miss... You missed the tips. Which actually one of them was rather important, because you missed... Can I show the tips somewhere? Nope. Ah, I can. Here's the starting tip for the radio, something radio. The week is done for. I wonder who they were talking about. Gee. Good morning, everyone. Oh, right, I don't need to read this.
最後まで後片付けに参加した人たちは本当にお疲れ様でした。
We were all slackers, so none of us actually helped clean up. Actually, I had a feeling that the only thing we did was run around the festival and cause a ruckus.
さて、この時期にはお祭りの取材で遠くから雑誌なんかの取材の方が見えたりします。
I thought it was the usual stuff, so I was going to tune it out, but then I noticed the different tone in her voice and started paying attention.
皆さんが取材を受けることがあるかもしれませんが、曖昧なことやいい加減なことは言わないように。
Yes, the best tip. The housewife murder tip. And let me just show it, if at all possible. Here. Here's the tip. Just this one line. The best tip. It wasn't reported in the newspaper.
いいですね。
In unison, everyone replied, "Hi!" What she'd said was really vague, but I understood what she was trying to say. After all, this was the 5th year. There were probably lots of third-rate reporters pouring in, hoping something regarding the curse had happened. It did nothing but perpetuate the village's bad image. She was saying, "Don't spout stupid shit you think is funny." And now I was one of the ones who needed to keep their mouths shut. I found it rather cute how I felt a sense of unity from such a trite thing, if I do say so myself. Headpats. Headpats all around. I was summoned to club activities after school. Since everybody was still pretty tired from yesterday, we just spent the day relaxing relaxing pair. Yeah, that wasn't happening.
今日は
Alright, he was about to say peacefully.
こんなのはどうかな。
お、海外もののゲームか。
Lähet taas. Minne sä lähet tällä kertaa? Okei. Pidä hauskaa. Again, I had to say good night for my brother.
面白そうだな。
Oh right, I should probably that's a good idea. I should probably do that. I'll gotta remember to do that. Let me just set. Who is the loser this time around? We'll see. I'm gonna bet on black, so it's gonna be Satoko.
説明書も英語ですけどね。ルールはそう難しくはありませんのよ。
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be Satoko.
負けないからね。僕はこのゲーム苦手じゃないですよ。
It seemed that Rena didn't handle this kind of game very well.
ルールはね、事件の犯人と凶器、あと犯行現場の3つ
Oh,
を
it's
当てられた
Clue.
人が勝ち。
Or Cluedo. There were 3 kinds of cards comprised of suspects, weapons, and locations. I could see the names Mion and Rika were written on the suspect cards. Oh, a card with my name on it was as well.
カードにもいろいろ種類があるな。
I don't remember. They might have.
斧やらナイフやら毒物やら。
Knives, axes, and poison. All a growing boy needs.
犯行現場のカードも渋いぞ。リビングやら書斎やら中庭やら。
つまりね、これらのカードが1枚ずつ抜かれるの。それが正解のカード。で、残ったカード
Yeah,
は
it's
シャッフル
Cluedo.
してみんなで当分。
Yeah, it's like in here it's called Cluedo, but I know that it's called Clue in Britain. I think I might be wrong on that, but yeah, Clue. It's a pretty fun game, generally speaking.
互いに手持ちのカードを質問し合って、抜かれた正解のカードが何かを探るわけ。
I see. So the cards nobody has are the true perpetrators.
それで答えが分かったら挙手。ゲームを終了して答えが正しいかを確認。正解 解なら勝ちで1ポイント、外れていればマイナス1ポイント。正解してもしなくてもゲーム終了だから、カードは集めて仕切り直しってわけ。
やってみればわかるでございますわ。結構頭を使うでございますわよ。
Yeah, it's a fun enough
メ
game.
モを取りながらじゃないと混乱しますです。
Usually you have like in the game at the release that we have, you have like a notepad that gives everybody a sheet of clues. Or where you can mark your clues.
でミオン、今回の罰ゲームは何だ？
We shall see which one of us is correct. If either. Everyone directed their attention to Mion.
そうだね。じゃあ昨日の疲れも多少あるだろうから、今日はソフトにみんなからお使いを頼まれて、それを買いに走るってわけ。
つまりジュースとかお菓子とかを買いに行かされるんだね。今日の罰ゲームは簡単そうな気がしますです。
I wonder, is it really?
やはりケイチさんもそう思いますですの？
ああ、何を買いに行かされるかわからないからな。
You'll have to go buy a porn mag. I'm betting Mion would send out whoever loses to buy stuff like hemorrhoid cream or family planning manual or other crazy stuff. Outside the box with Tomitake. That is an interesting guess to say the least. The cards were lightly shuffled and passed out to each player. The real perpetrator, correct weapon and the scene of the murder had been taken out, so that means all the cards I have in my hand are innocent cards.
じゃあ1番は部長の私から行くよ。ミオン、ナイフ、書斎。
You pick one suspect, weapon and murder scene and ask each person. If you have any of those cards, then you must say, I have one. However, you don't need to say which ones you have.
あ、俺持ってるぜ。
レナもあるよ。僕も持ってますです。
Oh, this is a little bit different from the one that we played, actually. Like, in the version that we have, you actually just ask one person to show you one of those cards. And then you'll have to deduce from the rest whether, well, you have to deduce from the rest. It's a little bit different.
完全な投資ですよね。
3 people answered when she asked if they had Mion, Knife and Study. So that means Mion, Knife and Study are all in the clear. Gotta jot that down.
じゃあレナはね、レナ、オノ、ラウンジだよ。
Rena and Axe go well together. Only 2 people said they had one. So it means out of Rena, Axe and Lounge, one of them is correct and is part of the crime. No wait, even if they say they have one, they don't have to say how many. It's possible that either Satoko or Rika-chan has 2 of the cards.
じゃあ次はケイちゃんだね。どうぞ。
待ってくれよ。まだ整理中。
The game has me thinking more than I thought. Oh man, this feels like it's going to be tough. Are we just gonna skip through it?
何？もう？
Here I am spinning around in circles and Mion just now raises her hand.
犯人はリカちゃん。凶器は毒物で、犯行現場は医務室。どう？
Mion drew the cards from the box and we checked to see if her deduction was right.
正解だね。
あと一手だったですのに。毒物かピストルかわからなかったでございます。ピストルなんか使わないです。毒物でじわりじわりがいいのです。
Rika-san said such a hugely terrifying thing with such a sweet little face. Oh yes, she is definitely just such a sweet little girl. Everyone was making a commotion about how they almost had it. Rena and I were left out in the cold though.
ケイチ君はどうだったかな。
Oh, I would use definitely the gun, but not with a shooting. I would use it as a blunt instrument. That would be far more fun. It would take a longer time that way. I hope the volume is, by the way, fine.
レナは全然。
安心しろ。俺もさっぱりだ。
二人とも何自信ないこと言ってんだか。二人仲良くビリになっちゃうよ。
That's even worse. Go off buying something together as a couple. What if we ended up having to buy the happy family planning good? Throw off the police that way. Definitely. That is exactly my plan. No, officer, I swear I didn't have a blunt weapon. I had only a gun. And you can see, the suspect clearly doesn't have any bullet wounds.
ケイチはこのゲーム
Beat them to death with a bullet.
してますです。
Or throw the bullet at them really hard.
なっ全然そんなことはないぞ。次でシャーロック前原の実力を見せてやる。
Yeah, Danganronpa murderer. Yeah, maybe.
あら、それはいいですわね。徹底的に叩きのめして差し上げますわ。
After that, I managed to somewhat grasp the trick of the game behind the game, but I was still always a step or two behind. I saw that Mion was somehow gleaning information from how the others were asking their questions. That level of experience was just too much. The only way I could stage a comeback was if I became ruthless. I tossed out the simple concept of deduction and switched over to the thought process needed to win. The important thing isn't to find out the criminal, it's to win at the game. Eureka.
あ、ごめん。ちょっとトイレ行ってくるな。
ゆっくりブリブリしておいで。
みーちゃん、それ下品。
Oh, it's only logical. It's only biological. I had them hold off the game and headed down the hall. The air was crisp. It showed just how stagnant the air in the classroom was from our body heat. On the school grounds, some of our classmates were still playing around. After spending some time cooling my head, Rena had made her way over towards me.
ケイチ君、ひょっとしてレナのこと呼んだ？
ああ、読んだ。
Ooh, clever move. As I got up from my seat, I winked over at Rena. I'm glad it worked out.
時間の無駄なので担当直入に行く。レナ、お前の今日のゲームの過去の戦績は？
She was taken aback. After a moment, she hesitantly opened her mouth.
全敗だよ。どうしてそんなこと聞くんだろう。
I could tell from how apprehensively she was playing.
このままでいくと俺もそうなる。今日のゲームは大逆転の秘策が思いつかない。
じゃあ今日の罰ゲームはケイチ君と一緒なのかな。
おいおい、早くも負けを受け入れるなよ。勝ちに行こうぜ。俺たちで。
でもどうやって？
I brought my lips up to Rena's ear. Whisper, 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 whisper.
そんなのありなのかな。
忘れたのかレナ。海賊第2条だぞ。勝つために全ての努力をしよう。
頑張るよ。
Our plan of attack was quite a rudimentary one. At the beginning of the game, everyone would be focused on their own hand for a while, taking notes and whatnot. Since our seats were right next to each other, we'd reveal our hands to each other. Nobody has lost yet. If we did it under the desk, then nobody would know. We'd begin the game with twice as much information as everyone else. Having this much information would mean we'd need to investigate less.
この作戦なら他の連中よりも確実なリードを持って開始できる。
これなら今度こそ勝てそうだよ。
But that's cheating. The club of cheating, yeah. We both smirked at each other. If I was the shady businessman, then Rena was the corrupt senator. Pleasure doing business with ya.
じゃあ早速戻ろうよ。二人で組んでみんなをあっと言わせちゃおう。
おいおい、二人で一緒に戻っちゃ意味ないだろう。いかにも打ち合わせしてきましたって感じだぞ。
あ、ごめん。じゃあどうしよう。
レナは先に戻れ。俺は洗面所で顔でも洗ってのんびりしてから戻る。
わかったね。
Rena turned around and headed back to the classroom. I guess I should wait a bit longer before going back. If I went too soon, it wouldn't seem like I went to the bathroom. If Mion or one of them suspected something, then there could be problems. Well, they'd figure it out sooner or later, because both Rena and I would start winning over and over again. Both Rena and I will have earned enough points to avoid being losers by the time Mion realized what was happening. Excellent. Not bad at all.
ちょっといいですか？
Huh? It's the teacher. Man, things were just getting good.
何ですか？今ちょっと大事な。
前原くんにお客さんがいらしてますよ。
Oh gee, I wonder who it could be.
昇降口へ行ってください。
お客さん？俺別にお店なんか開いてないし。
待たせていますよ。早く行ってきなさい。
It was rather unfortunate that I'd have someone waiting on me right before my big match, but I was more interested in the unexpected guest. I didn't want to waste any time, so I decided to take care of it quickly. The entryway was a heavy contrast from the hot sunlight and deep shadows. Waiting there, looking uncomfortably warm, was a middle-aged man, his tie sloppily loosened and his jacket tucked underneath his arm. First flag, oh yeah.
前原さんですか。前原圭一さん。
Now that's one bulky man. There was no question that he wasn't a resident of Hinamizawa, and that this was without doubt the first time he had met me. Ever since I met Tomitake-san, I'd been running into so many middle-aged men.
そうですよ。どちら様ですか？
私の車エアコンが効いてますから、そっちでお話ししましょう。ここ暑くありません？
Well, that isn't suspicious at all. The man, completely ignoring my question, pointed over to his car parked near the gate and began walking. You've gotta be kidding me. I have no intention of going along with some geezer I didn't even know, and he was asking me to get in his car with him?
だって食いやしません。どうぞどうぞ。
He opened the back door of his car and called me over. I didn't like this old man, but I wanted to know what this was about. Even while knowing that, conversations that start out like this have never led to anything good. The inside of his car was pretty cool. Cars with air conditioners were supposed to be a luxury. My dad didn't have one in his car, at least.
冷えすぎだったら言ってくださいよ。私ガンガンに冷やしちゃうたちですから。
で、俺に何の用ですか？
Out of spite, I decided to ignore his remark. Yeah, getting into a stranger's car. Getting into the stranger's car is pretty... Out of spite, I decided to ignore his remark in the same way he did to me and start my own line of questioning. He pulled out a notepad from his pocket and took out a picture that was stuck between the pages. On it was the face of a pretty goofy-looking guy.
もう男性のことでご存知のことがあったら教えてください。
Who the heck is this? I doubt even his close friends would be able to recognize who... It's the cops. Yeah. I doubt even his close friends would be able to recognize who he was from this expressionless picture that looked like it was taken at the DMV.
シャツにマジックで落書きがありましたね。前原さんをはじめクラスメート何人かの署名入りでした。
え、これ富武さん？
There was no hint of his unusual, unreliable and easygoing personality in this photo. It was an expressionless, half-asleep face.
ではこちらの女性はわかりますか？
Even before seeing it, I had a good idea of who it was.
名前は知りませんけど、昨べ富武さんと一緒にいた女の人です。
I didn't know what her name was, but I did know she was a resident of Hinamizawa.
この二人に最後に会ったのはいつですか？
綿流しのお祭りの晩、一緒に話をしました。二人とも仲良さそうでしたよ。
何か気になったこととかありませんか？何でも結構です。話してください。
Being asked for every little detail is very troubling, honestly. I had a pretty good idea of who this guy was by now.
富武さんたちに何かあったんですか？
There was no response to my inquiry. Thus I replied into that silence in kind. I was pretty certain that this guy was a cop. Then why? Why was he asking about Tomitake-san? Did something happen to him? More importantly, why me? Shouldn't there have been plenty of other people who knew more about him than I did? The roar of the air conditioner felt unbearably loud. After a long pause, he finally spoke again.
前原さんはまだこちらに越されてきたばかりですよね。ご存知ですかな？例の親代様の。
Uyashiro-sama. My heart began to race. I am pretty terrible at hiding things. It probably showed on my face.
全く知らない？知らないんなら結構なんですがね。
まあ、聞いたことくらいは富武さんに教えてもらったんですけど。
どの辺までご存知ですか？
The dismemberment killing, the accidental death, the death by illness followed by suicide, and the lady who was beaten to death. The incidents that always happen in the incidents that always happened the day of the Watanagashi ended in suspicious deaths. When they cry 3, the air conditioners roar. I didn't think Tomitake-san would have kept anything from me. I think that was everything. No, rather, I didn't want to think there was anything more than that.
前原さんはそのタタリとかを信じていますか？率直なところで結構です。
信じてません。
My answer was instant. It wasn't so much that I didn't believe in it as I was on the verge of believing. I wanted to clear away my own doubts. That was the more prominent feeling.
本当に？ならよかったです。やっぱり前原さんは都会育ちですね。
信じてなかったら何なんですか？俺、仲間を待たせてるんで、あまり時間取れないんですけど。
That's interesting that it became a meme. But I suppose that's a good way to that's a good way to get people in your car. Gotta try that like as a pickup line at some point. I got the AC running one speak in my car.
その写真の男性は昨晩お亡くなりになり。
Spooky. My mind went blank. Huh? What happened to Tomitake-san?
よりにもよってね、お亡くなりになられたのが昨日なんですよ。つまり綿流しの当日。前原さんにはどういう意味があるのかわかりますよね。
意味って、意味なんか。
Not any for the cause of his death or the reasons behind it. The real problem was that he died on the day of the Watanagashi. Meaning this year the curse of Oyashiro somehow had once again.
富武二郎さんがお亡くなりになられたことはまだ内緒です。どうしてかはなんとなくお分かりになりますよね。
I didn't want to understand why.
教えてください。一体何があったんですか？
得意なんですよ。
Oh, I do remember what happened.
ひなみ沢の方にはちょっと刺激の強い。
It was roundabout way of saying it, but it caused me to doubt whether or not I wanted to hear the rest. I would only regret forcing myself to learn of something I shouldn't. Or at least that's how I figured I would feel if I listened to the rest.
第一発見は祭りの警備を終えて期間中のうちのワゴンでした。
Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting little meme.
時刻は24時5分前。
Well, the silliest things do become memes, so it makes sense.
場所は、町へ出る道路がちょうど舗装道路に変わるところありますよね。坂を下り切ったあたりに、あそこの路肩でした。
There were few street lights on that road. Its pitch black darkness was only broken by the lights of passing cars and the moon. Yeah, fairly innocuous murder mystery club game. Yeah, Tomitake-san was face down covered in blood. Blood and muck covered in asphalt.
みんなはじめはひき逃げされたものだと思っていました。ですが、意識を確かめるために近づいた警官はすぐに異常に気づきました。
Keiichi is older than me. Really? You think so? I'm an old-ass man. I don't think Keiichi is that old. Right? Let me check. I'm not check how old Keiichi is. Oh, Keiichi is only 16. He's far younger than me. He's far younger than me. Quite a bit.
喉がね、引き裂かれていたんですよ。
Oh, this is some lovely background music. Oh, that's... yeah, good point. In that situation, yeah, that's a good thing to take into consideration. So, yeah, no, no, I'm born in 1995, so...
ナイフとか？
爪でした。
Nails. As nails? As in fingernails? With those he clawed through...
検視の結果、それも自分の爪でということが判明しました。
え？それってどういうことですか？
Things just got quite a bit darker. Basically, it means it wasn't a murder, it was suicide. Tomitake-san thought there was a reason to tear open his own throat, as hard as he could with his own nails. Tore through the skin until he started to bleed. And even then, Tomitake-san didn't stop. He continued clawing. With enough intensity that it could have peeled off his nails, still clawing. Still clawing. Then as his nails reached those vital arteries that you should never damage, he continued clawing. Blood spattered on the ground around him. As he bled, while gasping for breath, he collapsed, his body spasmed, and he died in agony. Second best suicide.
そういう類のものは検出できませんでした。
But this, it was suicide. I've never heard of such a thing. That's a really brutal suicide, just clawing your own throat out. That's really... I wonder if this is actually different in the updated one. No. Understandable. What is the best suicide? Yeah. That's kind of a scary. Well. Oh, I have an idea what is the best suicide. And that's probably going to be Rika. I mean, what? Okay. I never heard of such a thing. It is unnatural way of dying. If this wasn't a mysterious death, then what was? The way he died, in these 5 years, his death most resembled that of a curse. As if to show both myself and Tomitake-san, who proclaimed there was no such thing as a curse, that we were wrong.
他にもいくつか不審な点があります。体内分泌物、発汗、脱毛等から富武さんはお亡くなりになる直前、極度の興奮状態だったようなのです。
That was a given. It's hard to believe someone could be in a sound state of mind while clawing out their throat. A better suicide. A better suicide than Rika's? That's hard to believe.
手の傷と付近に落ちていた角材が一致しました。周囲の木やガードレールに叩いた後、周囲に散乱する富武さんの血痕。
Lovely.
つまりですね。
Meaning that, while tearing at his own throat, he was swinging around a piece of lumber.
体からは本人によらない外傷がいくつか発見されました。
Okay.
富武さんは何者かに暴行を受けた可能性があるということです。外傷の部位から見て複数犯の可能性もあります。
To summarize, Tomitake-san was surrounded and attacked. While wandering the night roads in state of panic after being cornered, he picked up a piece of lumber and tried fighting back. Yeah, but having clawed my own throat so to the point where it starts bleeding, I know how painful it is. The skin in my skin just in general is very weak, so I start bleeding really easily. So I know how it feels to bleed, just claw on your own throat and start bleeding from that. Though it, of course, wasn't anything fatal. Or was it? Ooh. Excuse me, what happened? Somewhere in there, he began madly tearing at his own throat, clawing at it. Then he died.
死亡推定時刻は21時から23時頃のようです。つまり、お祭りで前原さんが富武さんとお話しして、別れてからすぐの出来事なんですよ。
Ooh, ghost, I'm a ghost. Woo. Now that would be quite a twist. Everyone signed Tomitake-san's shirt, then parted ways. Right after that. Oh yeah, he should have been with a woman. What about her?
行方不明です。出勤もしていませんし、昨夜は自宅にも帰っていません。事件に巻き込まれた可能性が極めて高いようです。
For a while, I could only gaze off into space. I never would have thought that something unfortunate happening to somebody close to me could affect me this deeply. Oh, really? The time I had spent with Tomitake-san was short. But we went to the same festival, spent time together and took part in the same competition. He was one of us.
我々もあらゆる面から捜査を進めますが、村人たちはお社様のたたりの話になると、とにかく口が重くなる。
Oh, gee, I wonder why. That I knew well. I would have been none the wiser if not for Tomitake-san, the outsider, telling me.
だから俺なんですか？俺がひなみ沢の人間じゃないから。
I should have been angry that that was the reason he wanted to hear what happened from me.
このままでは富武次郎さんは親代様のたたりで死んだことになってしまいます。
Tomitake lost the games after all. Yeah. A good point. A very good point. He turned away from me and gazed off into the distance, far off into the distance.
綿流しの晩、神聖な儀式の時、無神経にカメラをバシャバシャやってたものだから、
How weird.
親代様の怒りに触れた。
I just started scratching my... I started just scratching my own throat for some reason. My neck. I wonder why. It feels really itchy right now. That's really weird. Really suspicious. I cannot stop. Well, this is weird. Well, let's continue.
富武さんに親代様のバチが当たるわけがない。
Tomitake-san had to have been killed by a humans and a cowardly group no less. There is no way I'm going to let this end up being the fault of some curse.
私もそう思います。
Yeah, Tomitake was like, no way am I doing this shit, I'm just killing myself. I can make some lovely noises if I want to.
バチもたたりもあるわけがない。
The tense mood was cut with the man's hearty laugh.
つまり、そういうことですよ、前原さん。
That's not a hearty laugh.
たたりを信じていないひなみ沢の方の協力が不可欠なのです。わかりますね。
Neither Tomitake-san nor I believed in curses. But with the way things were going, it would just end up with Tomitake-san's death marking the 5th year. Which would mean that Hinamizawa had rejected Tomitake-san. That was something I couldn't allow. Tomitake-san was one of us. He didn't live in Hinamizawa, but he came every single year. In a sense, he was more of a resident than I was. There was no way that Tomitake-san could have been cursed by Oyashiro-sama.
でも俺に協力できることなんか
何
何もないですよ。あの晩のことは何も知らないし。
いえいえ、何か気になるものを見たり聞いたりしたら教えてくださればいいんです。
If I see or hear, he was talking in future tense.
物でも人でも噂でも何でも結構です。不確かなもので構いませんから。これ、私の電話番号です。不在でしたら出たものに伝言してくだされば結構です。
He handed me a piece of paper with his number on it, but I hesitated for a second. That's morbid. Shit! Oh god! I could just change shirts. That's dark. If I took it, then whether I wanted to or not, I'd be mired knee deep in this matter.
富武さんの無念を晴らすためにどうかご協力をお願いしたいのです。
That's right. Why was I hesitating? I needed to find the murderer who killed my friend. I snatched up the piece of paper as a satisfied grin spread across his face.
今日ここでした話はすべて内緒です。絶対に他言無用でお願いします。
わかりました。
お友達にも内緒です。特に園崎さんや古出さんには絶対
Oh
に知らないよう
gee,
にしてください。
I wonder why he's singling those two out especially. Gee.
園崎ってミオンのことか？なんでだよ。事件に関係あるっていうのかよ。
With my friends' names brought up so abruptly and being told to keep it a secret from them, I became rather angry.
捜査上の都合ということなんです。
Rather angry indeed.
煙に巻くなよ。ミオンは俺の大切な仲間だぞ。
I snapped at him, but he didn't seem to especially be
言
offended.
ってもいいですが、気を悪くしないでくださいね。
言えよ。
He hesitated a little. Turning his gaze to the outside of the car, he began to speak after thinking for a bit.
ひなみ沢で起こった一連の事件は村ぐるみで引き起こされている可能性があるのです。
そんなことあるわけないじゃないか。
Give me a break. First of all, is there any proof of that?
証拠はありません。しかも過去の事件はここに解決し、いずれの犯人も村とは直接関係ありませんでしたしね。
じゃあどう考えたらそんな考えに至るんだよ。
毎年綿流しの日に村の旧敵が死ぬ。それだけで十分に疑えると思いませんか？
Only the residents of Hinamizawa felt that the day of Watanagashi was sacred. So basically, because incidents happened on that day, it was somehow related to Hinamizawa. First was the dam construction
そし
foreman.
て次に
Oh, right.
ダムを誘致した村人。村の旧敵は次々に開始しました。家庭はともかく結果はそうなのです。
Unfounded, unreasonable suspicion. But it couldn't just be shrugged off.
じゃあ次に死んだ神主やその次に死んだ主婦はどうです？別に村の敵だったわけじゃない。
神主はダム騒動当時リーダーシップを期待されながらも積極的な働きがなかったため、一部の村人から失望、反感を買っていました。
反感があったにしたって別に村に害を与えたわけじゃないだろう。その次の主婦なんかどうだよ。誘致した男の弟夫婦だったってだけの理由だろう。もっと殺される理由が薄いじゃないか。そして富武さんに至ってはどうだよ。ダム工事とは関係すらないじゃないか。ただよそ者だってだけの理由だぞ。
In the beginning it fell on those related to the dam project, but as the years went on, the enemy threshold of the victims had become much lower.
それがね、怖いんですよ。徐々に希薄になっていくのが。
Yeah.
何がだよ。
つまり村の敵でなく、よそ者だというだけの理由で犠牲になりつつあるんですよ。
じゃあ来年の被害者は村のよそ者から選ばれるっていうのか？
Oh gee, I wonder who that could be.
あるいは引っ越してきたばかりの人かもしれません。
それってどういう。
I swallowed my words. Here in Hinamizawa, the ones who would be considered the most outside would be my family. I was proof enough of that, wasn't I? I still couldn't really remember the names of the people I passed by. Then the next victims, my family, was he saying it was going to be me?
でもそれとミオンとどう関係があるんだよ。
詳しくは申し上げられませんが、園崎さん一家はダム騒動時の抵抗運動の旗頭だったのです。それも過激なね。例えば園崎ミオンさんについても同様です。
Oh.
抵抗運動時、いくつかの軽犯罪と公務執行妨害で補導歴があります。
I knew Mion knew what it meant to fight. This was the first I'd heard of her family leading the protests, though. Well, then, what did it all mean?
ミオンの一家が一連の事件に関係しているとでも言うのかよ。
そうまでは言いません。もしもそうだったら、一番確率が高い。それだけのことなんです。
Not a very clear explanation. It felt like he'd magnificently avoided the details I really wanted to know.
誰が一体どれだけ関わっているのか全くわかりません。だからこそ 村人に口外してほしくないのです。
Instead of answering, I gave a very bitter expression. It seemed that he understood it well enough.
じゃあこう考えましょう。たたりを盲信する村人の皆さんに心配させたくないから内緒。そういうことでどうです？
What do you mean, how about that? How should I know? But the reasoning behind wanting me to not carelessly open my mouth about it wasn't too hard to comprehend. The perpetrator was here. It had nothing to do with a curse. He was definitely going to be caught by the police and made to pay for his crimes. And none of the villagers should have anything to do with that process. It may cause those sensitive about the curse to just worry needlessly.
みんなが俺に心配させないために内緒にしてくれたように、今度は俺がみんなに心配させないために内緒にする番ってことなのか。
I was just talking to myself. Unlike me, everyone else had been worrying over these mysterious incidents yearly, and the incident this time probably means a lot more to them. I didn't want to burden them anymore. In the end, everything went as the man had wanted, as insipid as it was. But it couldn't be helped.
わかりました。俺だけの秘密にします。それでいいですよね。
沖宮署の大石です。なんならクラちゃんでもいいですよ。
あ、いや、大石さんでいいです。
The way he said it was unpleasant yet retained hints of politeness. He was the spitting image of a vulgar police officer. Though I've never seen one this bulky before in the cop shows I watch.
時間を取らせすぎました。お友達を待たせていますよね。もう戻った方がいいでしょう。
The door opened with a click and in streamed oppressive heat. It was blistering outside of the car. Was it really this hot of a day? It was an almost cruel heat, as opposed to the mechanical coolness inside the car. It's as if the land of Hinamizawa itself suddenly hated me. I felt a little sad as that thought crossed my mind.
お友達を疑えと言ったわけではありませんからね。誤解しないでくださいよ。
I refrained from telling him that it was too late to say something that self-serving.
前原さんが何も見つけず、聞きもしなかったとしても、それで十分なのです。それは村が関わっていないという証拠になるのですから。
見たり聞いたりしたら連絡しますけど、俺は探偵じゃないですからね。変な期待しないでくださいよ。
しませんしません。探偵になんかならなくていいですよ。今までのように自然に生活してください。その中で見聞きしたことを教えてくだされば結構なんです。
I hastily made my way back to the school building after giving him a quick bow.
またお会いしましょう。さようなら前原君。
I returned to the school building without looking back. I don't know how much time had passed. I did feel bad for keeping them waiting, but right there now there was a lot on my mind. Tomitake-san's death was hard enough as it was, but to think that there was the possibility of a village conspiracy? Worse still, there was also a chance that Mion was involved. Nonsense. Impossible, not Mion, Rena, Satoko or Rika-chan. It was a group that attacked Tomitake-san. Who could the perpetrators be? Could it be they were hiding here, somewhere in Hinamizawa? I didn't know. All I could say for certain was that I knew that Mion couldn't be the perpetrator.
みーちゃんだよ。
And with that, I think we are going to end the episode. Or this recording here. And that's gonna be a good point to, at the very least, end this game.